Hello, members of the Open Heart Project. It is fantastic to see you. I'm so happy that we can sit together. We're going to sit together for 10 minutes and we're going to start now. So please take your seat and get settled, whether you're on a cushion on the floor with your legs crossed loosely in front of you or in a chair with your feet flat on the floor. Both are very good, equally good. And as you get settled, I want to share with you briefly a few thoughts about the third step on the Eightfold Path, which we are exploring in over these 8 sessions. The first 2 we've already talked about: right view and right intention. And if you want to go back and listen to them, you're welcome to, but it is totally not necessary. Each of these steps stands alone as a complete thing of interest. The first 2 steps of the Eightfold Path are classified together under the heading of prajna, or wisdom, and right view and right intention are the 2 of the 8 that comprise wisdom. The next 3, beginning with right speech, are classified together as shila, S-I-L-A or S-I-H-I-L-A, which is translated as ethical conduct. But this doesn't mean like moralistic ethical conduct. It just means, what does it mean to be a decent person on earth? And one of the things it means is to use your speech well. Right speech is the 3rd of the 8 steps on the Eightfold Path. And I want to share with you briefly a story, something that happened to me the day before yesterday, in which the way I responded comprised all the elements of wrong speech. So right speech is defined as the following negatives: no lying, no divisive speech, and no idle speech. So therefore, right speech is tell the truth, say things that create harmony without being silly. I'm sure the Buddha didn't say that exactly, but I'm sure he meant that. And only speak when you have something to say. Those are great rules. It doesn't have anything to do with Buddhism, Shmoodism. It's just basic, common sense. So, however, it's not so simple. Of course, you say no lying, and everybody, of course, would go, yeah, lying's not good. But we all lie all the time. Not necessarily because of any evil intention, but because we just don't know the truth ourselves. And we may or may not intend to speak in a way that divides people from each other, or, in the case of myself, divides a person from themselves, creates a disconnect and disharmony within oneself. And we probably all like a little bit of idle speech now and then, a little bit of gossip. And I'm not saying don't ever talk about anyone else or anything like that, but there's a way of speaking of others that is from genuine interest, as opposed to idle interest or prurient interest or snarky interest. Snarky is pretty much never good. So what happened to me the other day, and I will keep this brief because we want to go right to our practice, because that's how we learn really right speech. Don't take my word for that. I'll just say what I mean by that, which is, as we're practicing, we're seeing thoughts arise, and we're saying, oh, okay, actually I'm not thinking right now. I'm focused on the present / my breath, so I'm going to let this thought go and come back to the breath. And how that relates to speech is that when you're in a conversation with someone or with yourself, and thoughts arise that go, well, that should probably terrify you. Or maybe this means you're going to get everything you've always wanted. That we're able to set down, notice when we're being seduced by hope or fear, let go, and come back instead to the simplicity of what we have to say. Meditation helps with that. I hope that makes sense. So 2 days ago, I went to the mailroom in our apartment building. you know that marks the beginning of a fascinating story. Anything that starts with I went to the mailroom. No, just kidding. So I went to the mailroom to get the mail. I took my key to unlock the mailbox. I got our mail. I came back to my office. I put the mail sat on the couch to open the mail. And then I'm like, I want to go actually into my apartment, which is a separate unit in this apartment complex, to get some food because I'm hungry. Let me get my keys. Those keys were gone, my friends. Those keys were gone. I looked everywhere. I looked high, I looked low, I looked left, I looked right, I looked behind me, I looked in front of me, I looked in the trash, I looked in the refrigerator, I looked in the couch cushions, I looked in the microwave, I looked in my pockets, I looked everywhere. I couldn't find them. And as this is happening, my wrong speech is starting to amp up. It's ramping up first in the way I'm talking to myself. You always lose things. You will never get it together. And so from this, you always lose things, which is not far from true. I tend to be on the absent-minded side, even though I'm a meditation teacher. I tend to lose things. I'm not the kind of person that always knows exactly where they put things. So I started berating myself. And this went on and on and on, as I could not find the keys. And the whole night goes by. The whole next day, yesterday goes by. I'm looking everywhere, I can't find my keys. I'm outside at night with a flashlight, looking in the hedges. Maybe my keys are out here. And with each step of this, my self-talk was becoming more and more vitriolic and dark. And when I woke up yesterday morning and I started talking to my husband about this, my conversation also became, I said to him, I'm not joking, I hate myself. I will never get it together. I can't trust myself. I will never be the kind of person that has a routine, that knows where they put things, that is good at being disciplined about, the everyday things of life, which is probably true. And on most days, I kind of go, okay, well, that's just me. Okay, I've got lots of other good qualities. This, is not one of my strongest points, but okay, I have a more balanced view. But I spent the first hour of the day just beating on myself verbally. Now, this was divisive speech because it disconnected me from two things. And the second one especially is the big tell. It disconnected me from any sense of my own decency. That's not so good. It was dark. I was in a depression for this morning. And the most important tell was it disconnected me utterly from my sense of humor. It was gone. I saw nothing funny in the situation. I saw nothing funny in my own behavior. And normally I have, I'm not short on a sense of humor. But when my sense of humor disappears, and when your sense of humor disappears, that's when we know something is not right here. Because we've gone from living in a kind of spacious world to one that is so tiny and tight that there's absolutely no way we can laugh at ourselves. That's a very bad sign. So I was unable to be soft in my speech. I was unable to be lighthearted. I was unable to poke fun at myself, which I normally enjoy doing very much. And everything I said divided me further and further from myself and my sense of humor. This was a lie. Going back to the first component of right speech, no lying. I'm not a loser. It's not true that I can't get it together and that I never know where anything is and that I will always be a screw-up when it comes to the things of ordinary daily life. That's just not true. Sometimes it's true, but not all the time. So I was lying. And finally, the idle speech came into play when it seemed that every time I started to sort of lighten up a little bit, like, okay, well, maybe I'll find them someday, or even if I can't find them, we have duplicates somewhere, or I can get a copy made if we don't, and so on. And I would start to sort of lighten up. I would come back at myself with, but you'll never get it together, and you'll never figure it out, and this is a very bad thing that you've done. So the idle part was, rather than allowing myself to sort of naturally transition into a more balanced state, I used my self-talk to just sort of gossip with myself about myself. Well, did you know she also did this and she also lost that? And I was gossiping about myself, to myself. So right speech is the following, to summarize. It means no lying. Don't lie. Lies can be big and small. I love you when I hate you. That's a big lie. I made $50,000 when I made $48,000 last year. That's a little bit of a lie. But that counts as wrong speech. So notice, start to become precise about your speech. No lying. No divisive speech. When you're tempted to sort of side with someone by, using your speech to go, oh, they're bad and we're good. Don't do that. No good can come of that. And when you're hanging out with someone and you're like, hey, did you see what she was wearing? Or could you believe he said that? And it's not from a sense of genuine caring about that person. Don't do that. Don't do that. You will not miss that, I promise. So I'm not saying don't chit-chat about your friends and relatives and neighbors with your friends and relatives and neighbors, but be careful that it doesn't slip into a kind of us and them, or a looking down your nose. Because when you look down your nose, it hurts. It hurts that person. So that's our little overview of right speech. I hope you enjoyed it. And without further ado, let's begin our meditation practice. So here we go. Please begin your practice by sitting up straight, taking a good posture. Feel your sit bones rooting down, and let yourself feel really anchored. Sit up straight, but let the front body be very soft, so the back is straight and strong, and the front body is soft and open, the belly and the chest. The hands rest palms down, just above the knee or somewhere at mid-thigh. That enables your shoulders to feel very relaxed. The chin is tucked a little bit, so it is basically parallel with the ground. And this is to avoid any repetitive strain injury from looking up too much or down too much. The mouth is closed, but the lips and teeth can be slightly parted, which helps the jaw to relax. Breath comes in and out through the nose. And the eyes are open, and the gaze is cast down to a spot about 3 to 6 feet in front of you, given the proximity of your screen, whatever feels most easeful. And let the eyes be soft, very soft. And the crown of the head reaches up a little bit, while the sit bones continue to reach down. Place your attention on your breath as it flows in and out through the nose. Feel yourself breathing. Feel the body expand on the inhale and contract on the exhale. Stay with your breath as best you can. Your mind will continue to make thoughts because that's what it does, so it's no problem. Don't try to stop thinking or quiet thought or anything like that. However, if you notice that you have become absorbed in thought completely, to the point where you've forgotten about your breath, A-okay? Simply let go of that thought, regardless of its content, and gently return your attention to the breath. And take a fresh start. Thank you so much for your practice.